drill, the weapon makes the rapper. Lil Jeff was known as King Draco. He lived and died with that stick. Leaf Ward stayed with a switch, ready for anything in Philly. Sugar Hill Keem ditched the basketball and picked up a Glock, firing it in broad daylight. And Rondo #9 brought out a rocket launcher and made the news. This is drill rappers and their favorite weapons. Sugar Hill Keem and his favorite weapon, the Glock. Before Sugar Hill Keem was gripping Glocks, he was gripping basketballs. Growing up in Sugar Hill, Harlem, Keem spent his early years hooping, thinking the court might be his way out. Once he realized that ball wasn't taking him nowhere fast, he turned fully to the streets. And in Harlem, once you drop the ball, you better pick up a pole. Keem eventually chose the Glock as his weapon of choice, and he wasn't shy about it either. It became his go-to both in the field and in his music. But the moment that really stamped the Glock as his signature came during one of the wildest incidents in New York drill. Keem was walking through the city with Blockwork, who at the time was still his homie. Out of nowhere, a car full of ops pulled up on them. Most people would have ducked, ran, or hid behind something. Not Keem. He pulled out what looked like a Glock pistol and started sending shots at the whip, right in the middle of the street. No hesitation, no cover, just him standing there with that Glock letting off. His ops peeled off, speeding away, while Keem stayed planted like nothing had just happened. That moment alone turned him from just another Harlem rapper into someone you didn't want to catch lacking. The Glock showed up again and again in Keem's music. He rapped about it like it was part of his identity. In one of his most quoted lines from Ice Cream Truck, Keem raps, "She just wanna move, I put the gun right in my bitch boot." That wasn't just a bar, it was a lifestyle. Keem kept that Glock so close it was getting passed off to his girl like a purse. In that line, he wasn't talking tough. He was telling you exactly how he moved. But the Glock wasn't just for show. Keem had a real relationship with that firearm. In May 2022, while already on parole, Keem flashed a Glock on IG Live and ended up getting arrested the same day. The NYPD had been watching him closely, and giving them proof on live was all they needed. Keem ended up getting hit with a 5-year sentence for it. That Glock, it might have helped him build his name, but it also helped build his case. And what's crazy is, Keem had already been through it before. Years earlier, he and Blockwork got pulled over in an Uber while riding dirty. Police found a gun, and even though there were no solid snitching charges, the rumor mill went crazy. Keem eventually turned on Blockwork, calling him a snitch. But the whole beef stemmed from that incident with a Glock tucked in the car. It wasn't just his ops or the cops watching either. Keem knew flashing that Glock had consequences, but he didn't care. He treated it like a microphone, something to be seen and heard with. Even after his arrest, fans could tell Keem wasn't moving without that pole. In drill, weapons are extensions of the rapper. For Keem, it was never a .22, never a revolver. It was always the Glock, lightweight, easy to stash, and reliable, perfect for someone constantly outside and in public beef. Whether it was tucking it in a girl's boot or up close in a live shootout, Keem didn't just rap about the Glock, he lived it, and the consequences followed. After his arrest, he was sentenced to 5 years. His rise in the New York drill scene got halted the moment the Glock came back into the picture. That's the double-edged part of drill. What keeps you safe and makes your name can also be what gets you sent upstate. Right now, Keem is locked up, set to be released in 2027. But whether he's home or behind bars, the Glock will always be tied to his legacy. He didn't just talk about it, he used it, flashed it, lived with it, and ultimately got locked up because of it. Sugar Hill Keem may have started life trying to shoot for 3-pointers, but in the end, the only thing he was shooting was a Glock. And that's the weapon that defined his career and his downfall. Rondo #9 and his favorite weapon, an RPG. Rondo #9 ain't just known for his drill bars and 600 ties. He went viral for flexing a weapon that made headlines in the middle of a city already under fire. This wasn't a Glock, it was a rocket launcher. At the peak of his come-up, Rondo posted a photo on Instagram holding what looked like an AT-4 rocket launcher with the caption, "Coolin' it with my new baby." This wasn't no cartoon prop. The AT-4 is a Swedish anti-tank weapon used by the US military, designed to destroy armored vehicles in fortified positions. Rondo's version had a blue stripe, which meant it was a training model and not live combat ready. But to the police and the internet, it didn't matter. Chicago police were already monitoring drill rappers closely, especially those linked to gangs. So when a BD from 600 with a growing rap career starts flashing military-grade weaponry online, that set off alarms instantly. Cops didn't just investigate, it went public. Authorities put out an official bulletin warning the community that a gang member was roaming around with a rocket launcher. The flyer had Rondo's face and government name on it like he was a most wanted terrorist. Rondo deleted the post, tried to brush it off like a joke, but the impact had already hit. The image became one of the most infamous moments in Chicago drill history. He never got charged over the RPG, but it made his name trend for something bigger than rap. It blurred the line between internet flexing and real-life consequences. To this day, fans still talk about it like a myth. This raised questions about whether there was a real plug in Chicago handing out rocket launchers to drill rappers. It's unclear if there was one AT-4 passed around for clout, or if more rappers had access to this kind of firepower. In a genre where everyone's flashing switches, beams, and drums, Rondo separated himself with one of the wildest flexes in drill history. The rocket launcher became part of his image. Even though it wasn't live ammo, the post captured everything about drill's peak chaos: guns, fame, clout, and consequences. Rondo No. 9 might have been ahead of his time with the music, but that RPG post locked him into drill history forever. Most rappers post their stick. Rondo posted a war weapon. That's not just a favorite weapon. It's a legendary flex that nobody else in the game ever came close to. Lil Z Osama and his favorite weapon, the switch. Lil Z Osama always rapped about switches like they were regular attachments, like they came stock on every Glock in the trenches. But in the feds' eyes, a switch don't just make your Glock go brrr, it makes it a machine gun. And in 2022, that's exactly what got Zay in serious trouble. It all went down in New York City when an Uber driver picked him up from a hotel in Manhattan. Zay was on his way to a recording studio in Queens.
Spank playing with 6. That's my dog. Hell yeah, man. I'm gonna be up in Champagne. What day we gonna be up in Champagne? Look at the 12 down there. They doing stopping traffic? Folks already just got locked up for knocking one of their ass out. Not right here, down there. They finna come out. They finna try to hop out on us. On my daughter, they just pulled up, hopping out. I'm telling them, gang, that ain't us, y'all ain't on us. Y'all on them other people. We don't got nothing to do with nothing going on.
And during the ride, the driver noticed something on him. A Glock 22 with a switch, fully loaded. 1 in the head, 9 in the mag. The switch made it fully automatic, meaning Zay could let off the whole clip in under 2 seconds. After Zay and his people got out the Uber, they accidentally left the strap behind. The driver saw it, called the cops, and when NYPD pulled up, they confirmed it was a 40 cal Glock with a switch. No scratch-offs, no ghost gun, real steel. The Uber driver later identified Zay as the one who had it in his lap. That one statement was all the feds needed to open a machine gun case on a Chicago rapper in New York.
What happened?
What's up, bro? Which one?
What's happening?
I just got a call.
What's happening? What's happening?
Just put your hands behind your back.
Put your hands behind your back. Put your hands behind your back. What happened? We're gonna short it all up. We're gonna short it all up. What is going on? We're gonna short it all up. I'm the manager. I'm just being detained right now. So back up. I'm just.
You get my phone though?
Yeah, you got anything on you? Can I get his phone?
I'm on.
Body cam footage showed Zay getting arrested with his hands up, saying, "I'm on live," trying to show the world what was happening in real time. But even being on live couldn't stop what was coming. When the feds ran his record, it wasn't clean. Criminal trespassing, reckless conduct, multiple robbery and battery charges, and a past aggravated discharge of a firearm case. The court saw a pattern, and the U.S. attorney painted him like a walking menace. Now, this case wasn't just any street beef gone federal. It was a full-on machine gun possession charge, which carries up to 10 years in prison. Add in that the switch itself makes it illegal, even without the gun attached, and Zay was looking at time. Everyone online thought it was over. Some even called him a snitch just because he didn't get hit with a full dime. But the truth was way more complicated. Zay pled guilty in May 2023. His legal team played smart. They highlighted that most of his serious charges were from when he was 15 or 16. As an adult, Zay only had 2 misdemeanors. They pointed out he got shot in the chest at 14, survived the trenches, and was trying to make it out. They even brought up the fact that Zay had to deal with roaches and rats in MDC Brooklyn, that the prison had lockdown so bad it was basically solitary confinement. His lawyer argued he wasn't a danger. He was an artist, trying to survive in a game that keeps rappers under a microscope. The feds weren't trying to let him slide, though. They brought up how his DNA was found on the gun, and that earlier in 2023, Zay had been caught in a high-speed chase in Illinois with 2 illegal Glocks, one with a laser and switch, the other with a 50-round drum and scratched-off serials. He was even wearing a $90,000 chain that prosecutors claimed was stolen during an armed robbery in NYC. But even with all that, Zay got sentenced to just 14 months in prison and 1 year of supervised release. With good behavior, that means he'll serve 85%, so just under a year inside. The court recommended FCI Thompson so he could be close to home in Chicago. Once the sentence dropped, the internet exploded. People started saying there's no way you get 14 months for a switch unless you're telling. Zay responded directly, saying, "Stop believing everything you hear or see on the internet. You really think you can get 30 years for a switch? Hell nah." People forgot that a switch charge can range from probation to 10 years depending on your background, and Zay's was light as an adult. It also didn't hurt that he had a $350,000 bond, a Warner Records deal, and one of the top lawyers in New York. That kind of money talks in court. While broke dudes facing the same charge might sit down for 5 to 10, Zay's team made sure the judge saw him as a changed man, not a walking threat. Lil Zay Osama's favorite weapon, the switch, almost cost him everything. It's the same weapon he bragged about in tracks, the same one that got left in an Uber by mistake, and the same one that triggered a federal machine gun charge. But with the right team and a smart legal strategy, he turned what could have been a 10-year stretch into a 1-year setback. Now he's back on the streets, and the internet's still trying to figure out how he beat the system. Bottom line, don't let the lyrics fool you. The switch might be flashy in a bar, but it's deadly in court. And unless you're rich, famous, and lawyered up like Zay, it could be a one-way ticket to federal prison. Lil Jeff and his favorite weapon, the Draco, Bloodhound. Lil Jeff wasn't just known for sliding, he was known for what he slid with. In every city, every crew got that one member who don't care about moving silent. For the Bloodhounds, that was Jeff. From the moment he popped out in the streets, he branded himself around one thing, his Draco. That's why fans and ops alike called him King Draco. It wasn't a name he gave himself. It came from how he moved, how he talked in songs, and how he turned that weapon into a symbol for how reckless he really was. Jeff started pushing the Draco narrative way before his death. In early songs, interviews, and lives, the term Draco came up constantly. He'd flash it on IG Live. He'd name drop it in lyrics. And according to people close to the situation, it wasn't just rap. Jeff actually preferred carrying a mini Draco, the semi-automatic AK variant chambered in 7.62 by 39, because of the look, the feel, and the damage it could do up close. On top of that, it fit the image he was trying to build. Lil Jeff wasn't trying to be slick like some of his bloodhound homies. He was flashy, wild, loud with everything he did. He wanted his name to be mentioned with fear. The Draco helped with that. On multiple tracks, Jeff references the weapon either directly or with coded lingo. In his song Exotics, Jeff raps, "Draco kickbox will knock a right out his socks." The Draco kickbox line reflects how he would use the weapon and was not about fighting his ops. Jeff was always walking around showing what he had. Multiple clips and photos showed him holding rifles without any attempt to hide them. In another track, he mentioned, "Every time I see an op, I jumped out and clapped, trying to tie a up and hold him for ransom. Shots out the Drake making start dancing." His right-hand man and cousin Q50 made a song as tribute to him called King Draco, making it clear he had a reputation for pulling it out often and not just for show. But before Jeff's passing, he lost his Draco. He said it in the song Lost My Gun when he rapped, "Blowing the Drac with a smile, I'm having too much fun. Smile turned to a frown when the Drac got bumped. Damn, I lost my gun." During the street altercation caught on camera in 2023, which resulted in Jeff's life being taken. Some say it was because he didn't have his mythical Drake. Reports say Jeff was riding in a striker, hunting down ops in Trap City territory. He was spotted stepping out with what appeared to be a pistol in his black hoodie. He started firing into a home where a Trap City member had ran into, the same slide that ended with Jeff getting hit and killed by Trap City Rob. But witnesses said before he went down, Jeff emptied a whole mag, letting the pistol spit in broad daylight. It was that type of reckless behavior that earned him his name. Jeff didn't just talk Draco. He let it off whenever he felt like proving a point. On the track, Jeff doubles down on his weapon references, rapping, "He ain't get a chance to run, can't say that he tripped, bounced out with 4 sticks, 2 got hit, I done lost my Drake, passed me the switch, before they was ops, they was on my." Fans immediately connected this to the Monty and Lil Rob incident. The Bloodhounds had always been known for wild drills, but Jeff took it to another level. Ops and fans alike started saying he was moving like he had nothing to lose. And once the internet caught wind of the nickname King Draco, it stuck permanently. What makes Jeff's obsession with the Draco so real is that it wasn't about clout chasing. This wasn't a situation where a rapper name drops a weapon just to sound scary. Jeff's charges, street reputation, and even the way his enemies talked about him all confirmed that he actually used it. Even some of his ops admitted he was sliding heavy with it. The connection between Lil Jeff and his Draco only grew after his death. When Jeff was killed on June 8, 2024, fans began posting King Draco tributes. Bloodhound members said they'd get back in King Draco fashion. Even Jeff's own father, Jeffrey Harris, made a Facebook post saying, "Clear the streets." That post would spark backlash, with many accusing Harris of encouraging the same violence that got his son. But it also showed how deep this weapon identity ran in the family. Jeff's music career might have been short, but he left behind multiple songs where the Draco was front and center. He didn't glamorize it in the traditional rap way. He used it as a way to establish dominance. In his camp, carrying a Draco meant you were frontlining the war. You wasn't just sliding, you was making noise, catching attention, taking real risks. Jeff leaned into that role, and in doing so, became a symbol of wild Chicago drill energy, loud guns, louder beef, and zero fear of consequences. What makes this connection even more dangerous is that the Draco isn't a subtle weapon. It's loud, it's hard to conceal, it draws heat fast, and Jeff didn't care. He wanted ops to see him coming. He wanted to be the loudest in the room. For drill fans, the story of Lil Jeff and the Draco is a case study in how street weapons become part of an artist's branding. Not for aesthetic reasons, but for the fear they instill. The Draco, known for its ability to shoot quickly and hit hard, was more than just a tool for Jeff. It was part of how he moved in the world. In the same way King Von was associated with the Glock with a switch, or 051 Melly with precision headshots, Jeff was known for pulling out that AK variant and letting it scream. When you hear King Draco, it ain't just a nickname. It's a reminder that some rappers didn't separate the music from the streets. Jeff lived the life he rapped about, and the Draco followed him every step of the way. From his first music video to his last day alive, that weapon stayed close. Some call it reckless, others call it real. But in drill, the two usually go hand in hand. Leaf Ward and his favorite weapon, the switch. Leaf Ward came up in West Philadelphia. Before the rap fame, he was just another youngin' trying to make it out. He survived shootings, lost friends to the streets, and kept his foot on the gas as one of Philly's most promising rappers. His voice carried pain and pressure, and when he spit about toting sticks or letting it off, fans believed every word. That's because Leaf didn't just rap about switches, he was really outside with one. In 2023, Leaf started to hit new levels. His feature on Millie's Risk Takers racked up over 16 million views. His own tracks like Power with OT7 Kwani pulled serious numbers. Labels started calling. ESTG even reached out, but Leaf turned him down. He felt he was on the same level, not below. Philly had a new voice rising fast, and it was Leaf. But on August 16, 2023, one move flipped everything upside down. Leaf pulled up to the King of Prussia Mall, one of the busiest malls near Philly, known for its high-end stores and heavy security. He was with his girl trying to enjoy a chill night out, grabbing food at Bahama Breeze. But while he was inside, cops in the parking lot were on proactive detail, running tags, just waiting for something to pop. And that's when they hit on a black Dodge Challenger parked outside, registered to a rental company, marked as stolen. They moved in quick, ready to tow it. That's when Leaf came out the restaurant and saw the tow truck. Thinking it was just a regular situation, he ran toward the car, probably ready to talk to the driver. But when he saw the marked police vehicles and officers in uniform, he knew what time it was. He turned around and bolted back into the restaurant. Cops gave chase. Leaf sprinted through the kitchen trying to get away, but there was no exit. A restaurant employee later told police he saw Leaf toss a handgun into the trash. When officers dug through it, they found a Glock 40 with a switch, fully automatic. That switch changed everything. In the feds' eyes, it turned the Glock into a machine gun. Leaf Ward, a convicted felon from a prior 2019 gun charge, was now facing federal machine gun possession and felon in possession charges. That's a max of 25 years. And the feds don't play with switches. Switches became popular in drill culture for a reason. With one installed, a Glock can dump a full mag in seconds. It's a weapon meant for war, not warning shots. Leaf wasn't carrying it for show. He moved like someone who knew he had real enemies. Someone who'd already been shot. Someone who felt like he had to keep one up just to make it back home. That's how common the switch became in Philly. The new standard. After his arrest, Leaf sat in county jail for 4 months while the feds built their case. The employee ID'd him. The trash can Glock had the switch, his prints, his rap sheet. It all lined up, and Leaf had no choice but to take a plea. He agreed to 46 months, just under 4 years, followed by 3 years of supervised release. The court even broke down how serious his charges were. The machine gun possession alone could get him 10 years. As a felon, the second charge carried up to 15. Together, they could have buried him. What made it worse was the terms of his supervised release. If he violated probation, even after finishing his time, they could add more years back on. They made sure Leaf knew he was on thin ice, even once free. Leaf had been hit with a switch before this. In 2019, he caught a gun case and got sentenced to nearly 2 years. Now, he was facing feds. Philly was eating its own, and all it took was a simple night out, a switch in his waistband, and a car the cops were already watching. At the same time, Leaf Ward's career was finally catching momentum. The Millies feature put him in front of millions. He was performing in Boston clubs, connecting with artists outside Philly, and about to elevate his sound past the local scene. But the switch, the same weapon he likely rapped about, bragged about, and carried for protection, took that all away. Even before this, Leaf made it clear in his music he was always ready. In one of his tracks, he raps about switches and extensions, telling his ops he's always clutching. His lyrics never glorified the lifestyle. They reflected it. That's what made fans gravitate to him. But in 2023, switches weren't just dangerous on the streets. They became the feds' new favorite tool. Just having one, even without firing it, could earn you a decade. Leaf had it on him while trying to enjoy dinner with his girl. That's how deep the paranoia goes in Philly. Rappers know any stop could be their last. After the case broke, Leaf's supporters thought he might have cooperated since his sentence wasn't as heavy as some expected. But there was no paperwork showing he snitched. In fact, the feds never even brought it up. His deal was built off a weak criminal history and good lawyering. It wasn't about snitching. It was about money, timing, and the judge giving him a second shot. Still, the damage was done. He missed out on touring. He missed out on a run. And now, he'll be over 30 when he touches back down. That might not sound like a big deal, but in drill, most rappers peak young. It's a youth-driven wave. Coming back after 4 years ain't impossible, but it's a steep climb. Leaf Ward's story is one of potential cut short. He had the lyrics, the pain, and the hunger, but he also had a Glock with a switch, and in the eyes of the law, that made him a threat. Today, Leaf sits in federal custody waiting for sentencing. The judge is expected to honor the 46-month plea. His girl still supports him. His fans still stream him. But he won't be in the booth again for years, all because of that one night, one switch, one split-second decision. That's why, in this game, the weapon you love the most might just be the one that takes everything away. For Leaf Ward, it was the Glock with the switch. If you like this video, click on a video on either side to watch a video similar to this one.